and it is $135,000. All right, so check this out. I am in the middle of a sea of full-size trucks, and these dealers, they are drowning in them. I'm here at Ford today, and there are rows and rows and rows of F-150s. And it's not just Ford that has this problem, it's GM and Ram. If you see all the way down to where my finger is, those are all Ram trucks. This dealership is absolutely loaded with them, and all the way down there too. And this problem's not getting any better. What do we know that these dealerships, these manufacturers need to be able to move this inventory? They need rates to be lower, and they need prices to go lower. These manufacturers have no interest in making the prices of these trucks any lower because they have to make more per truck because they know they're going to be selling less of them. But they also need rates to come down, and we know that that's not happening anytime soon. Fed's motto, stay higher for longer. So we know that one of the biggest parts of the problem is price. This is a nice 2023 F-150 Lariat, and it's $78,000. So I mean, it's super nice truck, and all these trucks are sweet. I love F-150s. They're great trucks, and they look good, but it's hard for the average working American to be able to pay $80,000 for a truck, especially at these interest rates. Most people can't afford the $1,200 monthly payment that's going to come along with buying one of these trucks. And here is your Raptor, and here this one cost $102,000. So now these manufacturers, they've seen this problem coming for a while back now. All three of them, the Ford, the GM, Stellantis, they have all done some form of production cut. They've also all now cut some jobs, and it's only going to get worse from here. So they know that they're going to have to make more cuts going forward. They've talked about all their cost savings plans that they're rolling out. So now what's happened is that they've loaded up all these dealerships with all these F-150s, these Ram 1500s, these Silverados, these Sierras, and now these dealerships, they can't sell them. So they're going to have to pull back on production. They're going to have to pull back and start cutting some costs to be able to just make it through this time period, because they can't keep just pushing out vehicles and expecting their dealers to be able to sell them when times are only getting worse. So I always like to give you a Ford Lightning update whenever I see them. So this one is $101,000. This one's $107,000, and they both have market adjustments. This one's got about $10,000 market adjustment. This one's $5,000, and this one doesn't have a sticker on it yet. So I'm assuming they probably just got this one in. So dealers are kind of being put between a rock and a hard place right now, because Ford, GM, Ram, they all want to push these trucks out to these dealers. And keep in mind, these dealers just went through a time period where it was so hard to actually get these trucks. I mean, this lot a year ago looked completely different than this. There were no vehicles because they were selling everything they were getting, and each allocation, each delivery was so important to these dealers because they just weren't able to get vehicles. And now, because they're overloaded and they can't sell them, but they're still in the mind frame that, you know what, we need these allocations. What if we go through a time again where we just can't get these trucks and we need something to sell? So what they're having to do is they're having to come up with these creative solutions where when their lot gets full, then they'll store some cars somewhere else to be able to keep their allocations and say to Ford, they don't want to, I mean, this Ford dealer doesn't want to say to Ford, hey, stop sending us trucks because we can't sell them. They don't want to lose that allocation. And I'm seeing that across other manufacturers as well, not just these big truck makers, is that anything that is rare or something that these automakers, these auto dealers weren't able to get over the last year and a half, then as soon as they're actually getting these allocations, they're doing whatever they can to keep them. I've been to Jeep dealerships, and they've actually, I talked to salespeople, they've actually been selling some stuff for invoice and under, just to keep their allocations, because they're not able to sell a lot of these more expensive vehicles, a lot of these Wranglers, and they're having a hard time. Their inventory, the day supply is going up and up and up. And so what they have to do is they have to do these flash sales to just move a bunch of inventory, because their GMs are scared of losing their allocation, because they're still in the mindset of, you know what, we got to get these orders keep coming in, we got to roll vehicles, just because we don't want to lose what we have now. So we know this is happening, and you can see it on YouTube too. We've seen lots of videos come across now talking about dealers actually hiding inventory. Now, I don't think that's actually the case of what's happening. I think what you're seeing in a lot of these YouTube videos that are popping up is that dealers are just finding creative ways to be able to store their inventory. And what you're seeing in these bigger cities, in these tight urban areas, is that these dealerships are just running out of space. And as they're stacking up this inventory that's coming in, they've got to have somewhere to put it. So I really believe that, now I won't say that it's in all cases, but I don't really think these dealerships are trying to actively hide their inventory. I think what's happening is they're just running out of storage, and they're having to find places to actively store their product right now. So I'm a small used car dealer, and I keep anywhere from 70 to about 150 cars throughout the year on my lot, and even I have a separate storage lot where I can keep my overflow. Here's a used Ford Lightning. Someone must not have liked it. It's a 2022, and it's got less than 5,000 miles on it. So it's a used Lightning. I haven't seen one of these yet, so that's interesting. No price on it. It's used, so they don't have to list a price of a used vehicle. So now here's the problem. We're going to get to the tipping point where, okay, we fill up all these spots, and then we fill up our storage lot, and we're still not selling vehicles, and Ford still wants to send us trucks. So now what does the dealer do at that point? At some point, they're going to say, look, I can't take any more vehicles. We've done our flash sales. We still can't sell. We still can't roll these vehicles out. We're adding incentives now, and they're just still not going to be able to sell cars, because whether you like it or not, these dealers, these manufacturers, what's coming in front of us right now, what we see coming out in the future, the Fed's telegraphing it. The economy's bad, it's getting worse, and the Fed's not going to ease. The Fed wants unemployment to go up. The Fed wants these trucks to sit here and not sell, because they need these prices to go down. So now what's going to happen with all of these trucks? Somebody's going to get left holding the bag. And you know what? It's probably going to be these dealers. And it's going to be tough for a lot of these dealers, especially some dealer like this that's got so many F-150s here. And I would assume that across the nation, you're going to see many other Ford dealerships that look just like this one, where they have rows and rows and rows of F-150s that they can't sell. And they're just going to have to keep them. They're going to have to do their fire sales. They're going to have to lose money on a lot of these trucks if they want to sell them. And at that point, when they don't sell them, I actually don't know what the next step is for them. And they are probably not thinking about it yet. I would assume they're getting worried and trying to come up with some scenario of, all right, how are they going to move this inventory? And you know what? They're going to have to lower prices. And even at that point, the economy's so bad, interest rates are so high, I still even think then they're not going to be able to move the amount of vehicles that they're going to have to get this inventory crisis under control. And actually, I saw while driving in too that they have a storage lot above this lot, and there even more Ram trucks. And of the big three truck makers in the US, actually Stellantis makes Ram, is the one that's got the worst inventory issues right now. They have the highest days of inventory, and what you're seeing that they are having to do because of these inventory levels is they're the place that you can find the best incentives, that they're the dealers that you can go to and actually get the highest percentages off. So you're going to start seeing this across GM. You're going to start seeing this with Ford too, because they're in the same kind of issues, the same kind of problems that Stellantis is having with their Ram trucks. Is they just have trucks and they keep pumping them to these dealers, and these dealers can't sell them. So I know what you're going to say. Well, I'm not seeing prices come down yet. And you know what? They're not going to post on these dealership MSRPs that they're actually taking money off. But if you go and you try and you go to dealerships like what I'm seeing right now, where they're just loaded up with these trucks, and they know that they got trucks, more trucks coming in, you're going to be able to start negotiating. You're going to be able to start getting percentages off of these trucks, because these dealers, they have to move them. So if you're not seeing these prices come down yet, well, you know what? You're not going to, but you're not trying either. So go to these dealerships if you're looking to get a vehicle and start negotiating. But you know what I'm telling people is that still right now, if I'm a buyer of a car, if I want to buy a car, I'm still waiting, because times are getting worse, and they're going to continue to get worse. And interest rates aren't going down anytime soon. So these dealers are going to get pinched. wait, you'll get a better deal later. But if you want to buy right now, negotiate. You'll be able to find a truck for under MSRP if you just look around. And really, you're going to start seeing this inventory problem happen on the used car level side too, with used car dealers such as myself. So if I turn you around, you can see that we've got a few cars up here, but really in the last about a month ago, we had almost no cars on our lot, and we've been able to buy some. We got some in recon, they're going to come out soon, but even with my lot, we're starting to see that we're able to buy more cars now than we're able to sell. So, I mean, money's still tight. We sell a lot of cheap cars. Most of our cars that we sell are going to be under $5,000. But even in that level, it's still hard for people to scrape together the money to be able to purchase. So what we're seeing at auctions is that we're seeing prices come down because a lot of dealers like me are able to buy more cars. They're able to put more cars on their lot, and there's going to be dealers that actually drop out because their inventory levels are getting too high and they won't be able to sell it. So in our case, about a month ago, we had almost no cars. We sold for the previous 2 months just about everything we had, and then we went back to auction and prices were still high. So 4 weeks ago, we didn't really buy any cars, and then 3 weeks ago, prices started to come down a little bit. I think we bought 7 or 8 that week. 2 weeks ago, prices were even better, so we bought about 15, and now this past week, we actually bought about 20 cars. So we are actually ramping up how many we're buying every week. But at some point, used car dealers like myself, we're going to get to an area where, I mean, we don't have unlimited money, so we can't continuously just buy and buy and buy more cars than we can sell, and that be a profitable model for us. So we'll have to take our foot off the gas at some point when our inventory gets caught back up, and if sales don't increase, which, I mean, the Fed's got higher rates, economy is going to be slower from here. We're not expecting our sales to actually increase from where they are here unless we just run into a bunch of really cheap cars. So this is what we're dealing with now on the used car segment, and a lot of other dealers are going to have it a lot worse than us because they probably didn't sell out in the last 2 months. So they've already got inventory, and now they're able to buy a little bit more inventory because prices are coming down at auction. But at some point, they got to pull out because none of these dealers have unlimited lines of credit, unlimited lines of cash, unlimited space to actually store these cars. So they're going to start pulling out of the auctions, and prices are going to get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And a lot of these dealers are just going to have inventory crisis because they paid way too much for these cars, and now prices are lower. They're going to have to cut their prices to either get rid of what they have, and they're most likely going to have to take a lot of losses. We're not in that boat. We're just now loading up on inventory when these other dealers are going to have their inventory problems. So don't worry about us. But I really wanted to do 2 things, come back to the lot just to talk about this. One, tell you about the used cars, obviously for the video, but I got this new mic. It's really windy out here, so hopefully it's working. I didn't use it at the new car dealerships, but used it here, so I want to see how that works out. And a lot of you that watch my videos, you saw that I took Zach from Car Edge to a auction last week. My idea was to actually pick him up in this. This is a Ford Taurus station wagon, and I bought it last week for $500 just for the chance to be able to pick him up in a $500 car. And obviously it's a Taurus, and I love Tauruses too, but it's, I mean, ugly, so it would have been great for the video, but power steering was bad on it, so we couldn't get it ready in time to actually get it to where I could pick him up. But just a little behind the scenes for you, and just thank you guys for all the support that you give us so I can do stupid stuff like this.